free. He's going to have to take a long one. Clyde, step back, three for the tie. Oh, he's done it again. They get it to him. More in space. A burst of speed. A first down for Purdue. He's still going. More. Cuts back. Touchdown. Each one more.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Boiler Express podcast. Sorry we're a couple minutes late. We were all sitting here talking and we're waiting on Frank and his big brain and realized Frank's on vacation, so he will not be here tonight, but that's all right.
The adults away, the kids are here to play. Let's
That's
go.
right. Let's go. Oh my gosh. What a week in Purdue athletics. Had a great game against, or a great couple games this past week in basketball, a couple of heart stoppers. With Purdue athletics overall in general, Walters brought in some big commits. We got the 4-star quarterback, Marcus Davila, was a former TCU commit, has committed. And then I think today, Eric Carner or Turner, I can't remember what his last name was. He's committed as well. Tight end with which Walters seems really high on. He had he used a GIF of Rob Gronkowski, GIF. I don't know how you say it, but I'm going with it.
GIF.
But yeah,
degenerate.
What's
yeah,
that?
It's definitely GIF.
It's
I
GIF.
think we all agree that it's GIF.
Are you new?
It's GIF.
Oh my
Pit
Lord.
Viper says it's GIF, so it's GIF.
Oh man. But yeah, so we had a lot going on this week. The awards came out today as well for the Big Ten. I think it's just for the conference and then like some other like awards, but not like from other
just
places.
for the
But
conference.
yeah, okay, cool. So we'll talk about that. Talk about winning the Big Ten championship outright. So, but we can go ahead and just start with our game at Wisconsin on, I believe it was Thursday this past week. So it was a really tough game. I was at the Kohl Center. The Kohl Center is always a challenging place to play, sold out place. They definitely gave us a good fight, but we ended up pulling it out in the end. What did you guys think about the game?
I think it was a typical late season Big Ten play. I think they just fought and grinded, and kind of like we'll talk about with the Illinois game. Like it's just conference play, man. Like it's just tough, especially on the road in conference. But I mean, they just grounded out, and I was happy they did.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not like they necessarily even shot bad either. I mean, they weren't great from 3-point. Obviously, they were 4 of 19, but overall shooting, they were 50%. They just looking at how much they out rebound other teams is just really impressive. 37-23 against Wisconsin. My goodness, that's just a wild number to see. We did have 12 turnovers that game, so a little bit higher than normal, but still not too terribly bad. But yeah, Russ, Dylan, do you guys have any thoughts as well?
Yeah, the ratio of threes compared to the percent. No, I'm just trying to sound like Frank. I got nothing.
Yeah, one ball pieces.
I was just gonna throw big words and numbers.
The antithesis of
according to my spreadsheet.
Circumference of the basketball to the circumference of the rim.
Hey, that's a real thing. Okay, it depends on the brand. All right, we need our Nike basketball.
No, I saw that.
Which one is brighter than all the? Is that Wilson that has like the bright orange?
Yeah, Wilson.
That's. I mean, it helps you see better. So I guess if
you're
old like
group
Russ,
chat last year during the tournament, I was like, "Am I drunk or is this?"
Well, yes,
basketball?
and it's orange.
But is this basketball aggressively orange to everything else?
And then Russ came and he's like, "Well, I can say it now. It's all good."
Well, my comments on the game, getting the train back on the tracks here. I definitely felt like we were not just 10 points better, because that's always the adage. You got to be 10 points better on the road in the Big Ten. It felt more like we were 15 to 20 points better. And Frank did point out that, while he's not with us, he's on the road, and he ran into some Wisconsin fans that pointed out that they hit some shots they don't normally hit, and the game was closer than it probably should have been. I think that we're struggling a little bit to continue to feed Edey here late in the season. He averages about 14 shots a game. He only took 9 against Wisconsin. So that was a little troubling, but I never felt like we were going to lose that game, if that makes sense. Even as close as it was, it never felt like one we were going to, just get out of our hands.
Zach Edey had more rebounds than points that game. He had 19 rebounds to his 17 points. That's just
bananas.
He's just putting out 2K numbers at this point. He's like a my career player on 2K.
Yeah, it seemed like one of those games, and I wish we wouldn't get to that point, but he does make a lot of the right decisions if he gets doubles and doubled and triple teamed. But it seemed like it was one of those games where he got more shot attempts off offensive rebounds than he did getting fed in the post. That he just kind of cleans things up and keeps kicking it out to other people to take shots, which isn't terrible. Again, he gets a game plan and says, if I get double or triple, I'm looking for the open guy. But I'd still like him to take some more shots than just 9 throughout the course of the game.
So at the end of the game, I didn't get to catch a lot of the second half. But at the end of the game, there was like a controversial call or something with Brandon Newman, or maybe a no call or something. Did anybody watch that and want to talk about that a little bit? Or
I didn't. I mean,
I don't even know what it was. I just saw people talking about like something that happened at the end. There was a foul that should have been called or not called or something. Does anybody? No.
Yeah, Frank's not here, so who the
you
hell
didn't know
knows?
what it was and still brought it up. Just to make
Frank,
us all
we
look
need
dumb.
you. Someone FaceTime Frank in quick. David, did you burglarize a library? What is that?
No, man,
I just noticed.
I had a bookshelf like right here, actually, on right next to my
No
desk.
library?
Had a bookshelf there, and it was one of those really cheap bookshelves that just got mangled all to heck when we moved, and it was literally like you would touch the bookshelf
From
and it would
IKEA.
You would touch the bookshelf and it would just
that.
it would stay on the ground, but it would just shift. It was like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And so I just got mad at it one day and destroyed it and didn't have anywhere else to put all these books.
Engineer. That was not designed by a Purdue graduate. That's all.
Damon, you don't need to defend yourself. Don't let Dylan start shaming us for his background. No sharding, period, on this show.
No sharding allowed.
This episode's going to hell. God. Frank. He's just watching this right now, just shaking his head like I'm saying.
No, I do want to move my setup though to be more like to have that stuff kind of like more centrally behind me.
Would you guys notice my sign?
Yeah, good job. Congratulations, nerd.
Thanks. Wow.
I love you.
Cool pit vipers, bro. What are you, a cop or something?
Hey, stop it. They're black and gold.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I guess they are.
Yeah.
So basketball.
Yeah, basketball. That's a sport we play. So back to it. Illinois game.
So they're 4 and 4 with
4 with and whatnot, and aforementioned.
So the first half though of that Illinois game was awesome.
That was the best half we played all year.
Yeah, that was incredible to do going on that 11-0 start there at the beginning.
Yep.
I mean, it was awesome watching Terrence Shannon try to take up the ball, and then after a while, he was just like, "I can't do it." He's like, Newman was in his head, was all over him, and he would get it inbounded to him. He'd be like, "No, you take it."
Yeah, I'll say the unsung hero like the last 3 games has been Brandon Newman.
Yeah, what a
100%.
Dude has been a demon, like especially on the defensive end, but even offensively, like the shots he's taken aren't bad.
Mm-mm.
They're just falling.
Yeah, it's really cool to see, and I don't know, I don't remember him like kind of embracing that defensive side of his abilities within the last few years or not. I don't remember him God dang it, Chris. I don't remember him kind of tapping into those defensive abilities the last couple of years. So it's been cool to see him this year. I feel like really embrace that role.
Yeah, for sure. Like I definitely have seen. It's almost like he's put an emphasis on defense when his offense isn't going, and that's how he knows he can get on the court.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he even said at the beginning of the year, like the way that Braden Smith plays defense and some of those other new guys, it's like, I'm trying to think of the word here. Makes you want to do it. Makes you, it's enticing to do all that, to want to play defense like that when those guys are playing that hard as well. So yeah, it's been really cool to see. I love seeing him tap into that side of his game.
Yeah.
I would say you mentioned the 11-0 start. The more impressive part of that first half was Edey going out with 5.5 minutes left in the first half with the second foul, and we were up 6. We went into halftime up 21.
Yeah,
that to me was the most settling thing, even after the second half.
It was like
went
a 15-4 run or something like that.
Yeah, that was the most settling part to me of that whole game, and the last few games really going into postseason, because that's honestly the thing that makes me most nervous. And we almost don't talk about it because of what's plagued us in the past with injuries. So you don't want to speak it existence and
shut up
with the mojo. But, if Edey does get a couple crap foul calls real quick, how are we going to react, and can we hold it together? And Illinois they're one of those teams like those Michigan teams that were 8 and 9 seeds in the tournament and made an Elite 8 Final Four run. Like, Illinois is a talented team that could put it together and make a run in the tournament. They're not a scrub. We weren't Houston struggling with Tulsa. This was a tough opponent in a tough conference. So I'm not worried about how that second half went at all, personally.
Yeah, and shout out to Cobra Stats. His thing he posted a while ago still stands true. We got up above 21 points and we still pulled it out. No matter how close they got back, we ended up pulling it out there at the end. So I think we were up 24 at one point. Definitely let it slide, but so in Cobra Stats, we trust. So all hail the Cobra.
All hell.
All hell. All hell.
See, I thought you were going to mention the first to 69 stat.
What's that?
I thought you were going to mention
the. No, that still stands true though as well. Whoever gets the 69 points first wins the game, which is
that's been my rule for years. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
nice.
Very nice.
Hey.
I also liked how Edey didn't need a ladder to cut down the rope. That was pretty legit.
That was.
And then how Painter called people out for talking shit, and he just threw that over the PA system at Mackey. Made me love him even more than I already did.
Yeah, right.
I didn't think I could love Paint anymore.
Like, but Painter's been on long enough that he's just like, I'm going to say whatever I want.
What are they going to do? Fire me?
Yeah. Look at his face during the coaches' shows when he reacts to some of these calls and questions. Like
it's like sometimes he forgets that he's on camera for the coaches' show, and he's like, "Oh, this idiot! Oh no, I'm on camera."
Getting caught by a hot mic.
Damn it!
To throw a trifecta out there of Cobra Stats too, you guys mentioned people complaining and Twitter's reaction to our Illinois win. You heard the reaction about, once again, another Big Ten opponent that loses to us and complains about how Edey's officiated and gets all the calls. In this case, they even tried to draw a direct comparison to Kofi and how he didn't get the calls Edey's getting. Well, Cobra Stats came through again and brought up that Kofi was actually fouled at a higher rate and shot more free throw attempts per touch than what Edey has this year.
Nerd.
Again, false. Fake news.
Oh, look at us, Russ. Look at us.
You're old now. You're welcome to the club.
You're locked in with the elderly.
You got to come change my diaper now, big boy.
Gonna have that in my nightmares tonight.
No, so I just find it comical. Like, so that dude talking like he did, was it Coleman Hawkins, right?
Yeah.
Talking like he did, just like, if you look at how he responded in that post game, just reminds me of Brad Underwood. And then if you look at some of our players like Edey or Morton or Fletch or Braden, when they talk post game in a loss, it's so much like Painter. And it's it kind of bears true that like the coach like breeds that type of confidence or accountability or respect throughout the rest of the team. And I don't know, I just felt like I got a lot of like very Brad Underwood vibes from when he was.
Why would anybody want to play for that guy?
I
just don't know, man.
Jackass.
Yeah, he seemed like the worst.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. It's just he just seems so out of touch. He's like chewing his players out to the public. And
I've seen weak old turds with more motivation.
They say, "Hey, I'd like to play for a late career Bobby Knight. You got anything like that out there?"
yeah, that's a really good.
I love being
comparison.
relevant once.
Oh
Anyway.
man. So so we did wrap up the regular season. So that was the last game in Mackey for the year.
What a ride.
So
what
sad.
a freaking
It
ride.
went by so fast. It went by so fast.
Yeah.
Do you guys have, and I know I didn't ask you guys this beforehand, so it's off the top of your heads, but do you guys have a favorite moment in Mackey this year that you can recall off the top of your head?
David Jenkins 3.
Yeah, that was
The one to break the new record?
Yep. That felt like one of the, I don't want to say pinnacle for the season because I don't think we've reached our peak yet, but that was like the top of the tier, like amazing moment. Like we were just on a roll and just dropping bombs, and it's cool because Jenkins is, other than the walk-ons, the only senior on the team, and to see him come out and drop, a 3 from half court basically to end the half and blow the roof off Mackey, like that was a lot of fun, man.
Speaking of that, I wanted to see what the decibel meter was when I don't remember exactly what moment in time it was. I just remember my tweet. I was like, "By God, Newman sent Mackey into orbit," because it was like that he had gotten a bunch of steals at that point in time. He'd like hit a couple of shots, and then he hit this 3 to put us up by 20. And I was like, Mackey's about to come unglued. I mean, it was. Yeah. That was one of the loudest I can remember hearing. Obviously, that's recency bias, though, because that game literally just happened.
Yeah, that shot he had at like the left wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, right in front of the benches, man. That kid was going bananas.
Yeah, that was awesome to see for Newman to be able to.
And that's good to see going into the tournament, because I really think that, and I might even said it in our group chat, that like his defensive play might be an answer that we haven't had for a while, because seeing him play the way he did, he was wild defensively. Mm-hmm. And like, I know they were trying to make excuses that their starting point guard wasn't playing or whatever, but like he was like anticipating passes and getting in passing lanes. And even Painterson, the post game, like the guys' hands were very active compared to what they used to be. And I don't know if that was an emphasis with Illinois or just an emphasis in general, but I haven't seen that type of defensive effort throughout a whole game since January.
I think it was an example of what we've talked about before when we talked about Illinois. I think it was when Kyle Charters was on, and how they are a very talented ball club, but they just aren't playing together the right way. And we always play defense that way, as far as shooting the passing lanes and waiting for the mistake to happen. Like we don't hack away. We don't foul. We foul at the lowest rate in the Big Ten, one of the lowest rates in the country. We get our steals off of jumping passing lanes and anticipating what they're going to do and knowing when they're going to get in a tight spot. And jump. And that's why we got the steals. That's how we got the turnovers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Brandon Newman had that one on the kind of full court man press that he had a pick 6 on, but the majority of it was on jumping passing lanes.
Yeah.
If I can get back to that question too about best Mackey moments.
Yeah.
I'm going to be partial to, I was blessed to actually be able to get to a couple of games this year. And
money bags.
Weekday games that I had to do, 6-hour round trip on a weeknight.
When you get retirement, you can do stuff.
Yeah.
Like
that. I take my
love you, Russ.
But Penn State, anytime you get to see a record-breaking performance in Mackey of any kind, it's awesome. You mentioned David Jenkins setting the new record. for decibel level. Well, seeing Mason Gillis set the 3-point record was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Especially with the kind of unexpected way that it came about. You know, we always knew he could shoot. We knew we had a lot of shooters on the team, but I don't think
Kind
you'd
of
have
like
expected.
surprised.
Oh yeah. It's not like you circled the calendar. Penn State, someone's going to set a 3-point shooting record, and my money's on Gillis.
Right.
But that dude has grinded and done everything the team asked of him. He's been that Grady Eifert type, like we've talked about.
Yep.
He went 900 something days without playing basketball and still has gutted out.
His story is still crazy to me.
Yeah. So that was a really cool thing to be there for, and to share it with somebody who that was their first Mackey experience was awesome. Yeah.
Dylan, what's your kind of moment?
All of it.
All of it.
I mean, it's just like it's been such a fun year and such a historic year. You know, a #1 Purdue team winning at Mackey, in front of the paint crew, and the environment was just outrageously crazy this year.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just soaked up all of it, and we're in the good old days right now, and just trying to bask in it. And
yeah, I'll definitely. Oh, sorry.
No, Chris, fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Wow.
Nope, I mean,
No, but I was done. So go ahead, Chris.
no. Are you done?
I'm legit done. Yeah, it's all good.
Okay.
I was just
Frank, we
giving
need you, buddy.
Damn it. I was just gonna say that, well, my favorite moment at Mackey was Dylan. Good
Well, what
Lord.
did I do?
Was
He's
David,
really going after you, man.
was David Jenkins having that shot? I think just the culmination of this season has been the weekend of the PK 85.
Yeah.
That was just
fun.
so much fun. I mean, it's bad when I wake up at 2:30 in the morning and go, holy shit, we won. That's how much my subconscious was locked into it. And I was like, well, okay.
Well, because I think us Purdue fans are programmed to go in those situations, be ready for disappointment.
Yeah.
Be ready for heartbreak, be ready to get real pissed off. But then when the opposite happens, and our teams win and they beat the Dukes and the Gonzagas and the Ohio States, if you're talking football, you wake up the next morning and you're like, that actually happened, didn't it? Like, holy shit, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was looking into it, and when I first, I literally remember waking up at 2:30 in the morning, looking at my phone, and I was like, "Wait, that scores backwards. That is definitely not what we did." And I looked again, and then I hit the group chat, and I was like, "Wait, did we win?" And the entire chat goes, "Chris!" I was like, "Oh, we actually did."
Yeah.
Can you imagine that Friday morning going into that Gonzaga game, being able to fast forward to now and saying, hey, we won the conference by 3 games. We got back to #1. We were #1 for 7 or 8 weeks this year.
Yeah.
And being upset.
And that's what it is. You have to, you got to put the fan base has to put some of the stuff in perspective.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a shift in this team from the 22-1 start to the last 10 games or last 9 games or whatever. But you can attribute that to a lot of things. They haven't been as on par as they have been, sure. But at the end of the day, like you said, we finished the conference 3 games ahead of everybody else. Potentially a 1 seed going into the tournament. Probably depends on how we play in the conference championship or in the conference tournament. I'm just putting that out there in the conference championship now. But yeah, so like you said, to after that weekend, if you would have said, yeah, by the way, you guys are going to finish the year 26-5, 3 games ahead of everybody else in the Big Ten, and 2 through 7 is just a rat race. Everybody else is trying to climb to those spots. Everybody else would have been pumped if you would have said that at the beginning of the year, and now people are salty about it because Purdue's not winning by 20 every game, and they are a team that is showing faults because they're human. They're kids. They're literally college students that also go to one of the toughest universities out there, academically speaking, as well. I can't imagine having to. That's like 2 full-time jobs. So yeah, It's incredible. It's
People-
kind of we're kind of acting a little bit like Nebraska football, which
Yeah.
you know is
Ugh.
not cool.
Ugh.
Hopefully, we get that figured out as a
Ooh.
fan base because, yeah. But
Hey, Dylan, does this sound familiar? Oh,
One of those Hank Hill jokes. Very funny. Very funny. I almost named my wife wanted to name the horse that we bought Hank, and I was like, I can't do that. I cannot do
can.
that.
your wife's a
Yes, you-
savage, and I love her.
Oh, she
Have
thinks
you
she's
seen-
That
hilarious.
needs protected.
Have you seen the
Gotta put up with me? Jeez.
the King of the Hill video where they're like with the
Ooh.
Pokemon?
I've
And it's
refused to
like-
watch King of the Hill my entire
There's
life.
like a King of the Hill. It's not even like an actual King of the Hill episode. It's like somebody made it where Bobby is like a Butterfree and he goes, Butterfree, I choose you. And he throws it out there and he goes up against the freaking Charizard, gets destroyed, and he goes, Butterfree. And he picks him up and he flips it over and it's Bobby. And he goes, I'm okay, Dad.
No, like everybody would be like,
I bet
so like, is
Pokemon
your dad?
guys would totally think that's hilarious.
Kids growing up would be like, is your dad like Hank Hill and you're Bobby? And I'd just, get out of here. Like I'm so done. I don't think I've watched a full episode of King of the Hill my entire life. Like I just
I
boycott.
don't
it.
blame you
man.
though. Like
Yeah.
I get that.
Ugh.
I respect that.
It's just like it. Yeah.
It just
Wait,
drive
thanks
you.
for bringing
insane.
up my trauma, Chris. God,
That's fine. You'll get over it.
I'm triggered.
Drink some whiskey. You'll rub that shit out.
But speaking of
Poor
stories-
Damon's had to get us back on track. Like
Oh my
10
God.
times. God love him.
No, you're good. You're good.
Give it up
but-
for Damon in the chat.
But no, you had
for Damon.
you had a really cool story though, Dylan. Leading up to today's episode, from somebody that
Oh
you got permission to share. So I think that'd be a really cool time to share
yeah,
that.
cool. I feel like crying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
here we go.
Big Ten Player of the Year, Zach Edey.
oh, it does. So from I believe it's Chanda Mundell on Instagram shared this story on her Instagram story, and I asked her if it was okay if I could share it, and she said yeah. So a longtime Purdue fan, and I believed worked at Purdue. Her name was Sarah. Passed away after a lengthy cancer battle, and she left 2 young sons who were also massive Purdue fans.
Mm.
And she was telling a story how Zach Edey sent the 2 young boys and the family a video, encouraging them, telling them, that their mom loved them and just with support and all that. And I think for Zach to do such a thing in the middle of, a big run they got going on here is just shows Edie's character and how great of a guy he is to take time out of his busy schedule to, send some love and some support to a family that definitely needs it in a time of toughness. So I just wanted to share that story from Chanda on Instagram, and Sarah, rest in peace. And
Yeah.
I wanted to shed some light on for Zach because that's awesome for him to do. I love stories like that, and we're lucky to have a great bunch of kids, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, whatever it is. Great student athletes at Purdue. So just wanted to take a moment and shed some light on that. And big shout out to Zach, and our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of Sarah, a bunch of Boilermakers, and wishing them the best through this tough time for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's one of my favorite things about being a Purdue fan over the last however many years now is just the people that you get to meet along the way. And it's always
Yeah.
people that are just there's no like half and half Purdue fan. There's no like subpar lukewarm Purdue fan. It's like all in. And it's people that have a chip on their shoulder, and people that have grinded for what they have, and people that have worked their tails off. Like we talked with Trevor about Purdue Global and having that graduation ceremony for all the parents and and their kids getting to see them graduate. And just all the awesome people that we've gotten to meet along the way. Just some really cool, genuine, good people.
That's what I love most about doing this podcast, man, because it's the people we've had on the show, the people we've talked to, and haven't been on the show. I mean, you look at Chris and I both have, even though he's off the camera and now you can't see, we both have Charles Terwazzo jerseys in the background that are signed by him because Chuck's a good friend of the program. And I don't know, man. Purdue people are just different. I've been in a good way, and these athletes don't feel like they're way up here and unreachable, they're very reachable, and they're very, they help the Purdue community in so many different ways. In some ways they don't even realize they do. So that, like you said, that's my favorite part about being Purdue. And I think Coach Painter had a quote years ago, and he's like, you'll see every other person wearing a Duke sweatshirt or a North Carolina sweatshirt or a Gonzaga, whatever it may be. But when you see a person with the Purdue sweatshirt on and you say, hey, Boiler up, hey, go Purdue, they're like, yeah. And, when did you go to school there? When did you go to school there? Who did you know that went to school there? Like we've said a million times, no, like you just said, you're not a Purdue fan just to be a Purdue fan. Either you went to school there, or your parents or your brother, your sister, your aunt, uncle, whoever. Like, we all have a connection to the university, and I think that is what makes being a Purdue fan so special. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Oh, thanks for
your mic's muted.
Appreciate
Had
it.
to get his Taco Bell.
Wow. Thanks for calling me out, Damon.
Hey, Chris, I did bring up how we both have Chuck jerseys in our background, and then you cut it out, so it was tough reference, but we made it through. Shout out to
there.
Chuck, our guy Chuck.
Chuck
is our guy. Chuck is the Boiler Express podcast guy, and nobody else's.
Yeah.
He's a
Forget
BXP.
US football. Ours.
That's right. He's a BXP sponsored athlete. Sponsored. I don't know.
Brought to you by USA
we
Football.
Sponsor shit. We make like negative $20.
I was gonna say, I don't know what we could sponsor him with. Maybe a shout out on Twitter.
Yeah.
An attaboy.
Go Chuck. We are Chuck's biggest fans here at Boiler Express Podcast. Where's little cheering section?
Oh man.
Are you eating Taco Bell while on the podcast?
No.
Chris,
No.
okay. We were gonna do it later off the show.
We're never doing another episode without Frank again. Look at what happens without Frank.
Chris, we were gonna do this after the show, but we're gonna do it now. You have a problem, okay?
Well, the most important thing is we now understand the text that he was sending in the group chat there, like why those things happen.
Oh, I hurt his feelings. Oh no.
Oh my god.
Well, to build on that Edie story though, we've seen stories like that or similar stories about him all year. Like, you all I'm sure have seen the stories about him staying 2 hours after the game to sign autographs for all the kids. Like that's awesome. Like I see more and more the case for him possibly leaving and going pro after this year. I get that. But if there's anybody that might be the best case for coming back for his senior year, I think it's him, because he truly loves and appreciates the fan base, Coach Painter, Coach Brantley, the organization. Like he appreciates that community. And I think he has loved becoming a part of it and growing the way that he has within our community. So, I wouldn't be surprised either way, but I really think he comes back.
Is that an Edie hockey jersey you got on there?
Not Edie, just a hockey jersey.
God, I had it. I laid it there for you, and
I'm sorry.
Missed it.
But like I said before your story, we can get talking to the awards. The Big Ten Network did, instead of having some awards reveal show, they kind of hid from the criticism and just started putting the stuff out on Twitter today around 12, 15 or whatever. And I know we talked about some of the awards and the way that some of them would go. And I know, even though I talked about freshman of the year honors for Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer, and I knew that was a pipe dream, it wouldn't happen, we really kind of expected the main individual player award to be Zach Edey Player of the Year. What I didn't think any of us thought would be in doubt, if you followed me there, was Coach of the Year. Like, I don't think we ever thought that it was anybody besides Painter. We talked about, sure, Northwestern's a nice little story, whatever, but I cannot believe that Painter didn't at least get co-coach of the year.
Yeah, I can't believe it either. And what's crazy is we finished the year in the last 9 games, like 5-4. I guarantee if we would have finished the last 9 games of the year 7-2, totally different story. He's coach of the year for 2 freaking games, because we went on that little stint where we lost, I think it was like 4 out of the last 6 games or whatever. And yeah, it's so dumb. And like you said earlier, Russ, it's like Northwestern's being rewarded for like, hey, you're usually a pretty crappy team, but now you're all right this year. So here you go. Yeah.
Well, and the other side of that too is, if they don't happen to be 12-8 in a year where there's like 8 teams with 8 or 9 losses and they just happen to win tiebreakers and be a 2 seed, that doesn't happen either, right? Because normally 12-8 is like the 4th, the 5th, the 6th seed in the Big Ten tournament.
Mhm.
Like, so that's not a huge thing, but because all of a sudden they got lucky and it was a, cannibalistic year in the Big Ten, and they finished second. Now they get Coach of the Year. But it's, the thing that's frustrating me too is I wrote some notes here, and I was going to talk about, and I guess I'll bring it up. Painter took a team that was picked 5th in conference, as low as 7th or 8th in conference, and won the Big Ten outright by 3 games. First time teams played 20 games and win it outright by multiple games. They were picked to be like a 9 seed. Now we're talking about being a 1 seed or the highest 2 seed. He took a player ranked in the 400s to be National Player of the Year. Took 2 freshmen that people were kind of laughing at us going, hey, we're not going to be good this year because we don't have any guards. And they're probably the best freshman tandem backcourt in the country. And so there's all that gets me frustrated and worked up and got me frustrated and worked up. You guys saw that in the thread. But the question I thought about later, too, that you guys can maybe weigh in on here is, so what does Painter have to do to win Coach of the Year now?
He's got to make at least the Final Four.
Well, no, but you won't know that when Coach of the Year is said, right? Like,
okay.
I'm saying, because Coach of the Year, we had the probably best season that he's had, and maybe the best season in 30 years in our program. And he didn't get Coach of the Year when we weren't even picked to do that, right? We were picked to be a mediocre, maybe make the tourney team. And he had one of the best years in our program's history and didn't get Coach of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
so how is he supposed to win Coach of the Year? Like,
I will say this: why is it? And I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit because I'm not mad that Chris Collins won Coach of the Year. But what?
I said I am.
That's fine. You can be wrong. But
celebrate mediocrity. Let's go.
No, I mean, so here's my thing. Northwestern was predicted to be 13th out of 14th in the conference and finished second. And honestly, what have we done to be so historic other than the fastest team to get to number 1 in conference? In conference, what did we do?
We won the conference by 3 games.
Yeah, we were the first team to play 20 conference games and win it outright. And we did it by 3 games.
Okay,
good.
We
won 7 Big Ten road games. The next highest team was like 4.
Right. I guess so my thing is this, is that we won it. Congratulations. Like, we weren't predicted to be last and win it. Like, that's my thing. What Northwestern did is more significant than what we did.
Interesting.
Wait,
hold on a second, because there was a year, to add to Chris's point, because I think there was a year, wasn't there, where Purdue was picked to finish dead last. It was like one of Ray D's last years, and then they finished 3rd in the Big Ten. Didn't he win Coach of the Year that year? Didn't Matt Painter win Coach of the Year that year when they were supposed to finish like dead last, and then they finished like 3rd?
Oh, look.
Chris didn't even mute his mic for that burp.
Nope. Y'all didn't. No one really answered my question though. What does he have to do to win Coach of the Year then?
I think it was
we literally lost 5 of our 7 leading scorers. Right, we lost a guy to the lottery. We lost Sasha. We lost Travion, an all Big Ten player, all American. Right, we lost Thompson. We lost EHJ. No,
I think the issue is that people's minds have changed. Like, after we made it to number 1 the fastest, after we had success, we then had sustained success, and then people that, I feel like everyone's mind shifted to like, oh, okay, this is Purdue. Purdue is good. Purdue is this, whatever. Like, that is expected, and then they lose those last few games of the year or whatever. But it's like Northwestern is Northwestern. Nobody expected that. I agree. I think he should at least have been co-coach of the year if that was even a thing.
So my argument for Coach of the Year has always been, if you win your division when you're supposed to win your division, you shouldn't get Coach of the Year. So,
but I don't think Coach Painter was supposed to win, right?
I disagree with that too, but yeah.
Right.
I love fiery Russ. Let's go.
Right. But you're looking at like Purdue is a perennial Big Ten title contender. It doesn't matter if it's a down year, a rebuild year, whatever. We've won more conference titles than any other school in the conference.
I do get that because it paints like the guy in the Big Ten, and then you
Right.
okay, let that guy get it. You know who?
Right.
I mean, paints
But
probably like
no one's answering my question though. So what does he have to do to ever? So he's never going to win Coach of the Year again now.
Yeah, but you got
Like we have to go
understand
20-0 in conference, which is never going to happen. We have to go,
this is like first take on ESPN.
you got to
Go.
remember he won Coach of the Year in 2018, 2019 at 16-4.
So if we win one more game, he's Coach of the Year.
No, I'm just saying you've got to take the totality of circumstances. If Northwestern
Oh, no,
doesn't
big
do what
words.
they do this year, boom, he probably wins it.
Yeah, I think it's just
Okay.
the circumstances. I
It's the
really do.
circumstances. If Chris Collins doesn't do what he does with Northwestern this year, he probably wins it. Oh well, so we didn't. Boom, move on to next year.
Because I think
But-
there was a year like it was. I think it was like one of Rady's last years or something. They were picked like almost to finish dead last, and they finished like third in the Big Ten. And I'm pretty sure Paint won Coach of the Year that year.
No, Paint didn't win it that year.
Oh, really?
No, he won it when they finished second in 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. They were first. 2010, 2011, they were second. And the 7, 8. Dang it.
So my thing is, they went 12-8 in conference.
Right.
12-8, right? Like they won a lower percentage of conference games than we did conference road games.
Right.
But they
So
beat
you're so
Purdue, and he
I
cried
get it. They were
afterward.
picked 13th, but they finished tied for second, right? So they could have been the 4th, 5th, 6th team, but because they won tiebreakers and they're second, now he gets Coach of the Year. Like,
I mean, if you want to play what ifs, I can drop my comment for what ifs. I'm just saying you do with what you got. Like if Purdue could have went 15-0 in conference had they not screwed up against Rutgers or lost against Maryland or lost against IU twice. Then you make a point there. How about we worry about us and not screw that up? Then
right, so I'm saying, so does Painter have to go 20-0 in conference to win Big Ten Coach of the Year?
if Collins takes a bunch of fucking scrubs, oh, dang it, freaking scrubs, and finishes second in the conference.
go.
You get a little Taco Bell and Chris, and it's it's
That Baja Blast, baby.
we need a swear jar.
Yeah, it's a good point though, Russ. I mean, he did accomplish a lot this year, and he didn't get it, and Chris Collins did, and on paper, definitely, and from what you talked about, it definitely looks like Coach Painter should have won. It just kind of is what it is. I agree. I think he should have won, but
I just want to say this: I think every other year Painter wins that if Chris Collins doesn't do what he does this year. That's my thing. I think that it is a great argument that Painter should have won, but Chris Collins did more with less.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
just
But then you could say that, but then Northwestern technically does have more all Big Ten players on their roster than Purdue does as well.
And Zach Edey was 429th.
okay. Are we going to go off recruiting rankings or all Big Ten selections? You can't do both.
I was going off of all Big Ten selections.
That's my argument. If you want to go off of recruiting rankings, we can. And then I guarantee you Chase Audige and Boo Booey are probably higher than probably a third of the team.
Okay, but what if? Here's my take. What if Boo Booey wins name of like the century?
Well, then,
He probably that's a
about
lock. That's a lock.
Boo Booey.
and
I
that
wanna
takes
see-
cake.
I haven't seen him have an NIL deal, but with a name like that, he ought to
Right.
have like 10 of them.
So I'll say this: I would be more mad if Trace Jackson Davis won Big Ten Player of the Year over Zach Edey
Furious.
than Chris Collins winning over Matt Painter. I mean, for God's sakes, Matt Painter has won it 4 times.
Which also, if you
More.
guys didn't see it, the AP
More.
actually said that Painter and Collins were co-coaches of the year.
Oh,
So
really?
Painter
fine.
still did get, yeah.
Okay, cool. We're arguing it.
I I hate it when dad fights.
When Dad and Grandpa are at it again.
It's like Thanksgiving 1997.
Grandpa and his war buddy are fighting again.
No, ultimately, I don't think there is any doubt, and no award will suffice to show how good we've had a season this year. The fan base knows it, and ultimately, the awards don't matter unless
Right.
we get to a Final Four in San Antonio.
100%. 100%. I don't think this bothers Painter nearly as much as what it bothers me.
That dude does not give two craps about.
Well, that's kind of like what I was saying. Like Paint could care less. Like,
Yeah.
you know, Paint has done so much compared to a lot of other coaches in the Big Ten.
I mean, a lot of Purdue coaches. I mean,
yeah.
Ooh.
I mean,
But my whole thing was like this was not projected to be a record-setting year for us.
right.
You know, he took a team that even us as positive, optimistic Purdue fans said, hey, it'd be nice to be an 8 seed, 7 seed, and make the tournament this year and maybe make a Sweet 16.
Yep.
And he set school records.
Right.
You know, and didn't get coach of the year. That's what my frustration is like,
I will counter with a team that's been to the Big Ten or to the NCAA tournament once, that will probably make it again, that was going to be lucky to make it to an NIT.
which, you know, I'm glad you said that. And I wish Frank was here and somebody could maybe look this up. But they've only been once, and it was, what, a few years back, right? So
17, 18, 19, something like that.
They said that Coach Collins is the second Northwestern head coach to win Coach of the Year and the first in like 17 years. So that means this isn't the first time this has happened, where a Northwestern coach got Coach of the Year, and not only was it maybe not warranted, but the team didn't even make the tournament.
I mean,
so that must have been another year.
Bill Carmody in 2003-2004 finished 5th in the conference.
And they didn't even make the tournament, and he won Coach of the Year. So that's where I get fired up, like celebrating mediocrity. Like this Northwestern team is going to be what, a 7 seed, an 8 seed, 9 seed, maybe a 10 seed in the tournament.
Yeah, but you want to know what drives me insane is you turn around and give the award for Coach of the Year to a team who was predicted to win it. You give it to Juwan Howard in 2021, or you give it to 21-22 and to Greg Gard, or Greg Gard in 2019-2020.
That's another debate too. That always kind of frustrates me too, because then you're basically saying, no, I'm not agreeing with you. Not agreeing with you. Calm down.
So let's make that clear.
Wow.
So you're basically saying if a team's picked to win the league, that coach cannot be the best coach in the year that year.
I'm not saying that, but you're not extending, you're not doing anything bigger than you thought you were supposed to do. And Coach of the Year is taking a minimal amount of product and blowing that up past what it was expected to be.
And I think
so that might be what we're disagreeing here a little bit then. So you think Coach of the Year is more most improved Coach of the Year, not best Coach of the Year?
Exactly, because look at.
Okay, that's where my argument is like a team that if a coach builds a program up to be, you know, the expectation is we're going to win the league. He's been the best coach in that conference because he's dominating that conference now, and people know that he's got everybody's number and he's going to win it. So to me, that's what you're already saying. You're the best coach of the conference. If you're saying you've built this up, you've done it before, we just expect you to do it again. But then to say you can't win Coach of the Year because of that is to me a little bit.
I'm not saying you can't win Coach of the Year. I'm just saying it's kind of ridiculous to take a team that's expected to finish first in the conference and say, "Oh, you're the best Coach of the Year because you met expectations. Congratulations!"
Yeah. But you also set those expectations, right?
No one set those expectations. The public and the media set those expectations.
Because they know how good of a coach he is.
So what I would want to talk about is on Twitter, they talked about building your ultimate Matt Painter big man. And I've been holding on to this for a little bit. I'd honestly like to know everybody's ultimate big man and so the options are Juwan Johnson, AJ Hammonds, Caleb Swanigan, Isaac Haas, Trevion Williams, and then Zach Edey. So we'll just break it down one by one. We'll go around and give our picks here.
I love you, Chris.
So if you had shooting for your Purdue big man, I would go Juwan Johnson. I think he's very versatile. I thought he could shoot the
Juwan
three.
Johnson.
Yeah,
Juwan.
Juwan Johnson. I would go with Juwan Johnson for shooting.
I'd probably go with Caleb.
So I went a little bit different. I know I sent you guys what the probably public perception would be, which would be probably Juwan Johnson, because when you think shooting, you think, who can stretch the floor as a big man, who can be the stretch five.
Mm-hmm.
But, which is true, Juwan Johnson's the highest scoring of this group, right? 1,900 career points. But, if you look at percentage and effectiveness of like when we give this guy the ball, he's going to get us a bucket. I'm going to go with Edey as my shooter. Because he was far and away the best field goal percentage in his career and has had the best season, right? So he's 62% for his career, 64.8 so far this year. And the next highest for their career is what? Maybe AJ Hammond's 53.9.
I'm not sure.
Sorry, Haas was 58%. So Haas was also pretty solid down there too. So that's who I would go with, is Edey.
Nice. That was my second pick.
What you got?
Oh, it's my turn? Yeah, I'd probably go with JJ. Yeah, I just thought he was a good shooter. I agree with Damon, per usual.
One interesting note on the shooting aspect too. Biggie should get an honorable mention there for sure. So Biggie, any guess on how many threes he made in his career? In 2 years.
In 2 years, I'm gonna say under 20.
I'm gonna say
like
20
15.
on the head.
Huh?
I'm gonna say like 15. He said 20 on the head.
Chris, any guesses?
23.
59.
Oh dang!
Holy shit!
59 of 157. 30. Or I'm sorry, that was 37.6%. Biggie was from three.
Nice.
The other five guys combined, which of course isn't really fair because Edey and Haas haven't made one, neither one of them. But the other five guys combined have only made 30 threes total. So he's made double what the rest of the guys combined did from deep.
That's wild.
Dang. All right. Well, I was gonna go down the line here, but I'll switch it up a little bit. Footwork. Who is your big man in regards to footwork?
Oh man,
that's actually was the second on my list too. So I'll go ahead and go because I'm ready with that one.
Cool.
So when I think footwork, I think we talked about in the thread a little bit. I think defensive, right? Because I think that's where it's the most key is how do you get yourself in position defensively, especially as a big guy, because when they teach in basketball, a lot of fouling can happen with your arms and your hands, but a lot of that comes from not getting your body in position and you're trying to bail yourself out and you're reaching. You're trying to make up for it. Well, Juwan Johnson was probably the best and most versatile defender of this group. He was probably the only guy, if you look at these six guys, that you would trust even having a prayer against the guard if they had to switch, right? So to me, I went with JJ on footwork, Juwan Johnson.
Yeah, I was thinking Juwan as well, but I want to switch it up. And so I'd probably pick Trevion.
Yeah, remember you can't pick the same guy more than once.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Edey.
Okay.
Because I think Edey's shown a lot with footwork on defense, but his offensive footwork has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys took my 1, 2, and 3. So. No, I mean like
2, right? Like it's just we can't double up in our own picks, but we can double up on our picks.
Yeah.
But it's like, Edey can block like a son of a gun, and that takes, a pretty solid amount of footwork. I mean, Trevion, I always thought was pretty quick on his feet for a big guy. And then, of course, you got JJ. JJ, I always thought was, fairly quick too. So I guess I'll say JJ, since I don't think anybody said that, did they?
I did, yeah. I started with that, yeah.
Russ.
Old man did.
Yeah, no, Edey, again, like I said, with the fouling, Edey is a great example of not only is he elite and efficient, but he plays within himself and within his body better than probably any big we've had. So that's what shows in his low foul rate, right? Like he puts his body in the right positions to not get into foul trouble. And that comes with his footwork, because he played hockey.
Yeah, and it's I've been
Because
paying
he played
attention to,
hockey, I like
when
that.
when Edie goes into the post too, you can see like he doesn't like get in that that typical stance where he kind of sticks, you kind of stick your butt out to kind of get position. He almost meets the defender where he's at on the block, and he just kind of like leans into him, and then like gradually just kind of grooves into his place like he's like a snake almost. Just kind of because he knows if he kind of does any kind of body movement with any extra energy or whatever, that's going to be an immediate foul. So he does such a good job of that. But I'll go with shot blocking next. Shot blocking. Who is your pick for shot blocking?
Zach Edey. Ha.
I didn't have Zach Edey actually. I went with AJ Hammonds.
Oh,
Yeah,
ham bone.
I feel like you almost have to go with AJ. It's
thought I had it for sure, but I guess not.
Yeah, Zach Edey's actually a terrible. I mean, go ahead.
So AJ has 343 career blocks.
Oh my god!
Second in school history behind any guesses? Anybody know?
Joe Barry Carroll.
Joe Barry Carroll. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Joe Barry.
He and Joe Barry Carroll actually have, I think, the 6 or 7 highest single season marks in blocking school history. So that's how dominant the two of them were in blocking the basketball. The next highest among this group was JJ. He had 263 career blocks, so he's still a full 80 behind what AJ did for his career.
Jeez.
So.
Yeah, that was going to be my pick, was JJ.
Russ, did you make your pick, or did you go with the AJ as well?
AJ, yeah, I went with AJ.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, we will go with. Let's see, we've done shooting, shot blocking, and footwork. So we'll go with rebounding. I'm going with Biggie.
All of the above.
Biggie Swanigan.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with Trey. Any guesses where he ranks in school history and rebounding?
7th.
4th.
Oh,
And he averaged like 20 minutes a game in his career. So to me, that's he was probably the most efficient rebounder, right? Biggie logged a ton of minutes, right? He played 4 and 5, played all the combinations. Trey was always splitting time with dudes. Like his highest season was 25 minutes a game. So to be 4th in school history and averaging only playing half the game is huge. So
very, very good point, Russ.
Thanks. I'm trying to make up with Frank.
Big brain Russ.
Doesn't have the same ring to it though.
Crayon brain Russ.
I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm good once as I ever was.
Old man still got it.
Old man still got it. That Geritol working.
Might as well be the cover guy for that.
Rebounding? I don't think I picked Trey, so I'm probably gonna pick.
Okay. Dylan, do you have a pick?
See, I didn't prepare for this because I kind of forgot we were doing it.
I didn't know we were doing this actually. I just was scrolling through Twitter and I saw it and I was like, oh, this would be cool to talk about.
Yeah, thanks, Damon.
Ding.
Not bad.
I don't know where does Isaac Haas stand in rebounding? I always thought he was a pretty good guy up around the rim.
Just go with your gut, man.
I'll go with Haas. I have a large gut, so
I have a lot of brain power going on in there. Let's see.
Brain energy.
Man, I wish I wouldn't have picked this guy already, but we'll go with passing now. I feel like this is also an obvious pick.
Chase. Yep.
Let's see. I've already picked you.
So passing, again, this is where I kind of got smart with not doubling up. You know who of these big men averaged the most assists per season?
Isaac.
Biggie.
Damon got it. Biggie. So Trey did have the most assists of the group, right? 238 for his career, 112 his senior year. But Biggie had 168 in just 2 seasons with 107 his senior year. So his best season was only 5 off of Trey's assist mark. And I feel like Trey also had I think it was close to double the turnover rate that Biggie did. Because Trey definitely tried to make a lot of the fancy passes, the no-look passes, right? He had made a lot of those passes that had us kind of rolling our eyes and going, oh, man, he's trying to be fancy and, show off for the NBA scouts. Whereas, Biggie necessarily didn't have that stigma. So I went with Biggie as my passer.
Yeah, I think Travion definitely has like the most memorable passes. They're always like they're always a lot of he's a fun one to watch when it came to passing.
I would also love to see if Edey comes back next year, what his assist numbers look like, because if you think he got double and triple teamed this year, wait till he comes back next year as National Player of the Year. He's going to have to literally practice all offseason his passing and kickouts, and he could just go off.
It's just gonna be 5-on-1.
Coach Brantley's just gonna be like beating the crap out of him like in his sleep.
Just 45-pound weights, just smacking the hell out.
Izzo still has like nightmares and wakes up in the middle of the night.
So something interesting that I learned doing some of the research for this. There are 2 guys on our sideline that are top 10 in Purdue career blocks.
On our sideline, you mean like the 6 right here, or like guys that are on our team right now?
That are on our sideline right now.
Like
is it William Berg?
Nope. What?
That was a joke.
You really caught him off guard with that one.
Hey, Brantley. Coach Brantley. Coach Brantley's actually 10th in school history with 114.
Oh wow.
So, and Edey is already 8th in school history. Just
that was a
through
trick question.
So yeah, it was a little bit
context about this questions probably.
Russ and your trickery.
All right, and then the last one we have is hands, and I think one of the only ones I have left is Zach Edey. So I'm going to go with Edey because I think his how he handles those balls. I think he does a great job with that. I think sorry, that was an homage to that joke earlier this year.
Balls.
It was like my second podcast.
But no, I think
laughing about balls.
Me and Dylan were just losing our mind.
We've matured since then.
But I really do. I think he's improved so much with his ball handling a ton this year. Like he would rebound it, he would have it like right at his waist or something, and now he catches that ball and he keeps it up here. He keeps it up here a lot of the times, and even when he does, when somebody tries to take it away or soming, he's good at keeping it up there. So he does a good job of keeping his balls up high.
Yeah, take it from me.
What were the 6 players again? Sorry, I don't have
Haas, Hammonds, JJ.
I'll have to go Hammonds because that's the last one I haven't used yet.
Did any of you guys use Haas yet at all for some of these?
Yeah, I did for blocking.
So I went with Haas. If I could have doubled up, I probably would have gone JJ here, because JJ actually had the lowest turnover rate amongst these 6, and also the highest number of steals. So to me, that kind of doubles up on hands. Like you're, not only taking care of the ball when you have it, you're getting your hand in there and getting the balls on defense. So, but Haas actually had the second lowest turnover rate. So I put Haas on hands. He had the second lowest turnover rate. So
see, this is how my dumb brain works, and I think of how the ball looks in the guy's hands, and when Edey holds the basketball,
you think about how it
basketball, it looks like a baseball. So I'm gonna go, and I've probably said them like 4 times by now because I don't follow the rules, but it's probably I'll go with Edey.
Nice. Yeah,
And
a lot of great big men over
talk.
a lot of great big guys over the year, and I don't know how Coach, knock on wood, I don't know how Coach Brantley has stayed under the radar for as long as he has, but he's an incredible coach for especially the big.
Pay that man his money.
And now all the other teams and schools that watch our podcast for scouting are going to hire him.
Gosh, I forgot this is going to be on ESPN tomorrow. Gosh dang it, guys! I'm sorry.
Another thing I'll say, and I know this kind of makes sense. That's not lost on me, but looking up a lot of these stats, these guys, like you talked about Coach Brantley, that's what made me think of it. These guys all steadily developed every single year of their career. Right. So like when I took these notes, I looked at career marks and then their best season marks, and almost in every category, their best season was their last season. So, we can nitpick at when guys should leave school and what they should and shouldn't do. But, Biggie had his banner year sophomore year and he went and cashed in on it. So, these guys, they get developed very well under Painter and Brantley. And that's why this was posted in the first place for people to talk about, because it shows the depth and the level. It's right up there with cradle quarterbacks and then defensive ends is the big guys at Purdue. So
we need to come up with a name with that.
So I was going to surprise you with another
the
question.
Sentinels of centers.
While you
the
think about a name for that, I was going to surprise you guys with a question at the end of the pod, and I'll just say it now.
Damn it.
So we've got the three amigos,
Uh-huh.
right? We got the baby boilers,
Hmm.
right? We've got the big four. What are Fletch and Braden going to go down as?
Ooh.
Dynamic duo.
You're not going
Batman
to like
and Robin.
You're not going to like my vote.
Two peas in the
law
pod.
firm.
Not surprised I'm not going to like your vote.
The law firm.
The law firm.
I kind of like it.
Effing-
That was a good one, Russ.
The
Look
law
at you.
firm. Let's see how much power we've got and try to coin that phrase. 'Cause I feel like I said Big Maple way back in the day, and Frank kind of laughed about it, or somebody else kind of laughed.
Oh,
and
here's
said,
Russ taking credit for Big Maple.
Also, I keep hearing on other pods people talking about comparing to Fletch to Etuan, and I remember doing that like way back in November, December. So I'm taking credit for that too. Just saying that.
That's
Big
the
brain.
dementia.
The dementia kicking in.
No, but I do have a nickname for the big man that produced. It's the Big Man Bungalow. That's the.
Ooh, I like it.
No, that was a joke. You guys were supposed to laugh. That was supposed to be a stupid name. Somebody needs to go to the doctor. I heard the end of that.
Oh, you
My
got some
God.
tuberculosis. I just had a cold, and I sound better than that. Oh,
He's got the TB.
you need some cough drops.
Well,
Rest in peace, Arthur Morgan.
just
Well,
to
this is
so
off the rails.
Russ, do you have a list
Was
of
it ever on the
the
rails?
rest of the awards? So I know we got on a tangent about Big Ten Coach of the Year, but the other awards.
I don't, but I know off the top of my head Purdue awards. So obviously we talked about Zach Edey being the only selection for first, second, or third team, but Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer did get honorable mention all Big Ten.
Okay.
So they were at least recognized as, the top, 10% of players in the conference or wherever that might have worked out towards. Braden Smith did get selected to the all freshman team. So that was nice to get some recognition for our freshmen being, far above expectations. And then one thing I thought was cool was like I think it was the sportsmanship award that they do, and they kind of highlight one player from every team. Matt Frost was our winner for that award.
Really?
Okay.
I know he's had a rough year. Obviously had the injury, did participate in senior night, so he's not going to be back next year. But it was good to see him get some Big Ten recognition. That was nice.
Relation to Scott by chance, or
sixth man of the year was
The Paint Crew?
Iowa kid. I can't remember his name now.
It wasn't a McCaffrey, was it?
No, but McCaffrey won their sportsmanship award. That's
a McCaffrey
ironic.
and sportsmanship.
Yeah.
It's like when he sat there and stared at that referee on the baseline for like a solid minute. If
Oh,
that
no,
ref
Stanford,
would have gone up
Stanford,
and punched him, if that ref would have gone on and just kind of like gave him a little slap, he would have been my favorite ref of all time.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
It was Peyton Sanford from Iowa won sixth man of the year. Edey was on the all defensive team. So we did get some defensive recognition as well. But
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. And then Edey was National Player of the Year or Big Ten Player of the Year.
Big Ten, yeah.
I think Hood Schifino was Freshman of the Year, which is not a surprise at all.
Also a very good name, Hood Schifino.
Yeah, hopefully he
like
goes
that.
to the NBA this coming year.
Shifino.
100% is. 100% is.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I think he's a lottery pick or damn near it.
Yeah. Well, we're already a little bit past an hour, so we're gonna kind of go ahead and wrap up here for the night. This was an episode of the Boiler Express podcast. It was an episode.
Holy
Frank,
Chris and I
we
are
miss
still
you.
friends.
We'll see you back here next week, hopefully.
Yeah.
Frank really holds this ship together. With,
Yeah.
adult.
He's the glue that
Yeah,
is.
Do you want to talk about
Pit
expectations
Vipers are
of what
back,
we want to see
boys.
from the Big Ten tournament?
Do
I
what?
didn't hear what you said.
Do you want to talk about expectations for the Big Ten tournament?
Winning the whole damn thing.
Don't really care because it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I think it matters to at least win the first game. I think just if you look historically at it, I think that we need to win the first game.
Yeah, if you will look historically at it, sure, but like people are like, oh, we got to win it all. Like it just doesn't.
Yeah, the fan in me wants to. I want to beat Rutgers. I want to play them and avenge that loss. I want to play IU and avenge that loss.
Yep.
I do want to see us get momentum, but I don't think it's the end of the world if we even for one and done. I don't think
I
it's the other
think
one.
if I looked it up, I think it was like 25% or 30% of Final Four teams win their conference tournament.
So
but I think
at least one of the 4.
I think it's pretty much all of them that won at least one game in their conference tournament, though.
Yeah, I haven't gotten that far, but
I feel like I saw it last year going to the tourney. They said that like one team in the last 17 years has made the Final Four without winning at least one game in their conference tournament.
Yeah,
So,
and I don't really care about the hardware necessarily at all. I just for me and just as a fan, I like to have some momentum going into the tournament. I know that when we were one and done against Minnesota a few years ago, we ended up going to the Elite Eight and almost made it to the Final Four. So, it honestly, there's who knows what's going to happen. College basketball is insane. So
It's called
obviously,
March Madness for a reason.
yeah, the buzzer beaters are already hot and heavy. So
dude,
God
they are
only knows what's going to
crazy.
happen.
Unless you're Gonzaga going off on St. Mary's, good lord.
Yeah, they are. It is like a redheaded stepchild.
My new podcast setup is to where I can see my television from my desk. So
That
it's
a
all,
boy,
you know,
you're learning.
The ADD is just going bananas.
Just absolutely bananas.
Just so you guys can know some things going into Sunday too. There's only 2 teams with more quad 1 wins than us this year in the entire Division 1. I think only 6 teams played more quad 1 games than we did. So, some things you'll probably see pop up when they talk about the 1 line and the 2 line on Sunday.
Is it Kansas?
Yeah, Kansas has the most wins.
Yeah.
I think Texas is the other team that has more quad 1 wins than us. So, and then there's 1 or 2 that have the same amount. They have 9. We have 9 quad 1 wins. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, and then before we call it a day, the handsome gentleman from Boiled Sports called for my head last night.
I would like to say that I am his body man. If you want to mess around, I've got black and gold pit vipers that says you won't.
But listen, I love Boiled Sports. Been in the margin for not many years, maybe like 2 years. But I love them to death. And then I also want to invite Jay on next time we do a draft, because Jay Money always
he hates us.
Hates our
He
draft.
hates
Always
us
hates our
so
draft.
much.
So next time we do a draft, I want Jay Money on the podcast for it.
I mean,
If
it's okay
past his
for him to
bedtime,
be
I'm
wrong.
not sure.
Just saying.
I mean, are we the smartest? Yes.
Yes.
But no, I just want to say, as a new incomer to the Purdue podcast world, we come in peace. And Boiled Sports is the biggest Purdue podcast ever, so we have to come in peace. I mean, just call it, Jay. Next
Jay.
time we do a draft,
yeah, Jay, catch his hands, bro.
Hey, and I claim to be the draft master of the pod, so I'm in on that one.
Of course, old guy.
Well, you were alive for the draft, so it makes sense.
Hey, not my fault. I'm the most knowledgeable.
Just because you have a draft card doesn't mean you're.
Hey, I just made that joke. God, you just couldn't hear me because you guys wouldn't shut up.
Well, if you didn't plug your nose when you talked, we'd be good.
I'm sorry, I have a cold. This is my flu game. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and apologize for everybody
Sorry,
tuning in to today's episode.
Oh, are we still live?
Sorry, I'm dedicated, Russ.
It's a sham show.
But appreciate everybody tuning in. If you made it this far, God bless you. You deserve like $100 in the mail this week.
We should do, like, if you made it to the end of this podcast, use hashtag BXP pod, and then if anybody tweets that, we'll do
figure something out.
We'll do something.
Dylan's sending you a jersey, a signed jersey.
We don't have much to offer, but
and Russ's dad does not count, because I feel like he probably does listen to these all the way through. I'm sorry. You're probably a great guy, but you do not count.
Barely can make it through this.
We're lucky Russ stays awake for this. Good lord.
I'm already up for this. What are you talking about?
Sleepy Russ.
Start my day.
Oh my god.
The home nurse is not.
I'm trying so hard just to end the podcast. I'm trying so hard.
This is what you call a Midwestern goodbye, though.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. All right.
That's all right. Everybody, great night. Boiler up, hammer down, and let's win this Big Ten tournament.
I thought you didn't care about it.
Oh wow.
I mean, I still want to win, Jackwagon.
Hypocrite.
Yeah, hypocrite.